Yes, guys, welcome back, man. Welcome back to the channel. I know this is one of you guys' favorite segments, the sit down. Hey, listen, I keep bringing you guys guests. You guys have been enjoying these content, but I've got one of well, how the way do I put this, bro? Because I've watched a lot of like Redmond stuff, right? And I'm just like, you're one of the standouts for me because obviously culturally, I can vibe with you. I can like look, I see myself in you, sort of thing. And same with like the Coppish boys because I've done a few sit downs with them. But what I want to start off with is like, what made you go? Do you know what? This is something I want to get into in terms of like Liverpool content creation, or did you just get thrown in it? Did someone go pluck you from somewhere and go, "Yo, Errol, you hear what I'm saying? You're doing this." Was it
I,
like that?
do you know what it was? Yeah, and I'll be honest. I've probably said this a couple of times on various streams. I've always had a background in media anyway. Before football content creation kind of really went to the levels that it's been at over the last 5-6 years, I was always kind of one foot in and out of the media, in and around the stuff that I was doing in my 9 to 5 life type of stuff. I started a small podcast in Liverpool with my brethren
Oh,
in lockdown, and again, this was a proper chance encounter. But I've always watched. YouTube's always been one of my favorite platforms, so I've always
right.
watched, all of the big fan channels. Like, even if it's not our club, it was, if it wasn't the Rap or if it wasn't the Red Men, I'd be watching other people's content from early, bro. So like, I'm talking, viral popcorn AFTV moments. I've been
Yeah,
there. I've watched them all. Do you get me? I know it's time to go. All of
yeah.
that business. I've been there when you've been getting pumped at Bayern Munich and all the rest of it. And just by chance, one afternoon, I ended up bumping into Paul. Obviously, Paul and Chris are the founders of Redman TV.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's kind of, it feels like it should be more general knowledge, but it's not always. They are obviously they are the longest standing fan channel in the
yeah,
football space, especially in the UK anyway. And obviously, UK really kind of pioneered it to the levels that it's got to. And I just said to Paul, look, there's a couple of lads that I know that work with you on production that actually went to my school. He was a couple of years younger than me. There's a couple
right.
of lads I know from the Anfield Rap that, again, one foot in and out of media stuff. I've done stuff with them. And then I am setting up my own podcast at the moment. I'd love to kind of have a peek behind the curtain, see how you guys operate, because that's like, in my head, I'm thinking, my content that I'm doing with my podcast is not going to be like stepping on your toes, because my brethren's not a football guy. He's a gym guy. He's a
Yeah,
bodybuilder. It's a completely different topic of conversation. But in terms of the quality that he's produced, there's nobody else independent that I can kind of lean into and say, yo, can I come and link you guys for a little bit
yeah,
of it? So Paul was like, yeah, of course. Like, obviously, if you know people anyway, I'll go back to them and make sure that you're not a dickhead and you're not
yeah.
straight. But yeah, you know what I
Yeah,
gotta.
you gotta do the little check, the little CV check kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Do
is he all
a
right?
little CRB check and make sure that
Yeah.
he's all right. So then I was like, right, I've got some leave booked. So then I booked leave,
Mm,
turned up to the studio, shadowed a little bit, and was like, oh yeah, this is sick. I can understand how you're doing things and how you get out alive on YouTube and all the rest of it. And then the next thing from there, he was like, do you want to jump on the next show that we're doing? So I was like, yeah, throw me in. Yeah, get me involved. And then because it was lockdown, with my job at the time, I was able to work from home. So the
yeah,
ability to be able to say, right, I can take a lunch and jump on a stream was
yeah,
viable. When everyone went back to the studio, went back in, it was like, even though I'm still working from home, it's a little bit more, because you don't know who's watching at the same time. So I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
and obviously being prominent in Liverpool, the channel's so big. Like, and even when I started working there, people were like, oh, I've seen you on the Redmen as well. So in the end, I was like, as much as I'd love to be able to just try and wing it a little bit, I think
Yeah.
at some point someone's going to blow me up. People get, green eye, all the rest of
Hold
it.
on a minute. He's meant to be working here. Hold on. I see you man
Yeah,
screen right.
yeah. He's meant to be working, but he's there in 2 different locations at once. So I thought I scrapped that idea. They had started doing the watch-alongs because obviously everything was COVID settings, and then
Mm-hmm.
coming back into the studio, I knew they would be going back to the ground more. And I just said, can I create the lane for myself? Then is there an opportunity for me to get in front of the watch along audience? Let me do the lives, and then it's just kind of grew from there. So it was more of an organic thing over time, but as I say, it's expanded. There are other kind of collabs and projects that I've worked on now, and it kind of all just interlinks and feeds back to HQ, which is Redmond. So in terms of that football space now, most
Yeah.
people, if you kind of want to say, where do you know Errol from? Most people are always going to say Redmond.
Nah, fairs, man. But look, I love the background, to be fair, man. And it's good that they gave you the opportunity in terms of let you come and look at the background, see how it all goes and works. And then from there, you made your own, I'll say you made your own lane. You got in there and now you're doing, you're doing your own thing as well. But we have a segment, right? But we do like a mental health check-in because I feel like many people don't check in on each other on a day-to-day.
I rate that. I rate that.
So we normally just go, so obviously you're the guest. I normally check in with you. I check in with the chat as well, making sure everyone's good and stuff like that. They tend to not want to share because I normally put a poll up and I go, right, how you feeling? Great, this, not so great. Some people say not so great, but I always ask, I say, listen, if you want to share it in there, share it and we'll try and chop it up as well and give you some advice on it. But I think everyone kind of keeps that to themselves, but which is respectfully. But now, how are you, my bro? How's things, man? We chopped up a little Jamaica thing in the background. I want to know.
Yeah, honestly, bro, I'm blessed, man. I say my affirmations most days when I remember to do them. I thank God as often as I possibly can. I'm not overly religious to an extent, but I'm quite spiritual as an individual. And I try to keep my mental as best as I possibly can. I think in terms of like work-life balance, I'm forever spinning plates. I've got quite a few different projects on the go. I do stuff with Redmen throughout the week. I'll do my 9 to 5 grind and what I do in marketing and digital media. And then obviously the freelance opportunities and trying to get myself out into the right spaces and right events. So it's been a busy period. Obviously, Liverpool being successful always brings new opportunities. I was very fortunate that I was included in the official parade content for Liverpool TV, which was I just bro, when I tell you like I haven't even said this on the stream yet, but check this, I got to go to Wembley last year to see Klopp's last trophy. And I was in Anfield on the final day of the season to see Slot lift the Premier League. So the last 12 months has been mad in terms of being able to like see and witness those things. So from a brand business perspective, it's been busy, but it's been good. And you know what I mean? I'm starting to reap the rewards of certain opportunities, being in certain rooms and speaking to certain people. So I am good. I think probably, and I'll be dead honest with you, probably the thing that I've struggled with the most more than anything else, and I'm getting berated by my family and my mum. My sister's into fitness. She's a PT. She's doing all like massage therapy and all that. She's a little bit younger than me, but that's her bag at the minute. They're on me for the weight. I've put on weight, so everything else is going good. So like in the next couple of weeks, everyone's like, summer ready. I'm trying to be ready for the winter. Like I've already had to kick the can down the road. Summer's gone. I ain't getting the summer body in. But I'm determined, once the football tournament's out the way with that we're going to run in the next couple of weeks, I'm determined to really double down on trying to just strip back and lose a few pounds and that, because again, now there are opportunities. I am in front of camera a lot more than, I used to be. And when I was first started, I was only I'm just the other side of 30. So now I feel like the metabolism slowed down a little bit. And I just want to be in good shape. So I'm always a happy-go-lucky person. You'll always see me smiling. You'll always see me upbeat. But I'm not trying to be, the chunky friend. I'm trying to be the leng. You know what I'm saying? I'm still trying to be the leng one. You get me? I've still got the hairline. I've still got my own teeth. I just need to just tighten up that waistline a little bit again. And we're good. We're good. So that it doesn't get me down. But people say in there, and I've been eating good. I have been eating good, and that's my thing at the minute. People see me on my watch alongs. I'm always snacking. Usually, it's a bit of a nervous eater. But outside of that, that's the only thing where I know consciously, right, to be at my best. There's stuff that I need to do in terms of my own weight and stuff like that. But it'll happen. But I've just got to now put it out there into the universe, into the stream. Hopefully the chat hold me account when they see me snacking.
Look, this is great for Dustin as well. So obviously, we started, I say we, me and Savage, but mainly the front runner is my boy Savage. And he said, look, we need to create something for the guys in terms of all the people in general, for the ones that are struggling to do certain things. Like what you just said, we're so busy, you don't spend time doing the things in terms of your exercises, workout, eating right, because you're, as you said, like spinning so many plates and so many projects. So we started something called the 100 challenge. So we had a 100 days, and everything that we put into it, I think we're about 30 days in now, I want to say. We're about 30 days. I want to say just probably shy of 30, if not over 30 days. But it's like things you can do from home in your own time, in your own space. So you can go for a walk. There's a water intake. we didn't do too much in terms of the food stuff, but I did get one from my PT and he gave me like a list of stuff. So I threw that in the group as well. It's on our Discord. But there's nothing crazy. It's nothing like you're like, oh my days, I'm gonna have to go to the gym for 6 hours. And it's just something that for every day for the guys, just like, you know what I mean? For the guys that are struggling, the ladies that are struggling slightly, you can just easily do it. And obviously we got a Discord for it, but it might be for you, might not be for you. It's one of those things. We've tried to push it out to the community that I've created over here, and a few of the guys have definitely jumped on it.
I think it's the accountability for me, because in my head, I'm an early riser, bro. So my body clock will have me up between 5:30 and 6:30 every morning without fail, without an alarm. And then I sit there and procrastinate. And then I'll roll out of bed at like 8 o'clock. Let me check the email. Let me check the next. And I'm like,
the bank some press ups thing, or gone for a walk or a run.
From steps in and all the rest of it. So I've signed up to the gym and everything in the last couple of weeks. And again, I'm like, yo, I'm paying money for this thing right now. I need to start using it. So that outside of that, I can't have any more kind of gratitude. I'm very blessed right now. I'm very happy. Again, I just know there's always room for improvement. So if there was anywhere where I thought mentally, how do I navigate this next 6 months? It's right. Put myself into, we're going to lock in. We're going to lock in on the fitness, because everything else is automated to an extent. Now I know where else is at. It's just boom. The one thing that, again, because I spend so much time sitting, I'm not as active in certain roles anymore. It's like, right, I've got to have to put that extra effort into locking in and kind of getting it down. So
that's the worst thing you've now said, because now I'm going to hold you accountable. So if you get bombarded with messages,
then
like,
bro,
Errol,
I expect it.
What are we doing? Are you going for a run today? Are you going for getting a 10K step? What are we doing today? And if you're telling me, or you air it, then I'm like, he's not serious. Like,
blow me up, bro. Blow me up. Because trust me, blow me up on Twitter, man. Send me the pictures. I had someone to use with Jeremy Frimpong the other day, and I always say to my mum, one of my things is like, don't look at the comment section on socials or YouTube when I'm doing content, because they might love me 1 minute, but at the next breath, there'll be a different energy, so don't bother. And the next minute she's looked at, she went, have you seen the comments that they've left under the Jeremy? Nah, I haven't even, she went, someone said that you've been eating all the burgers. I was like, right. I was like, no lies were told in that statement. Like, no lies were told. I've got to hold that. So just just remind me on a regular, and I'll be working on it, man.
Do you know it's crazy, because my mum, like, she'll tune into my channel from now and then, but she don't really get it. She don't really she's not a massive football fan like that. She's just a me supporter, so she ain't gonna read the comments. But if she read them, some of them, and see them, she'll be in there firing shots as well. So I'm just like, no, I'm glad she don't read them, because some of them, Jesus, like, it was like, who's this idiot, man? What does he know? Then I'm like, raw. But I've got such a thick skin, and I'm just too happy for anyone to
get me. You're not gonna get someone parade on the internet. Like, you can't do me. Like, trust me, where I grew up, the things I've heard, the things I've seen, internet comments are the last thing that I'm ever going to be worried about.
Come on, man.
You get me? But like, when I seen it, I had to chuckle, because I was like, you know what? He's not lying. And I think as well, because it's different when I used to be very athletic. So it's very different when you've been for a period of your life. I was up, your yardie, Marga. Like, people always say, Errol's Marga, because I was always a little bit. Do you get me? So now that, like, my metabolism's probably slowed down on the other side of 30, all of those things combined, dad life, all of these things now have just got me to be like, I'm in my dad bod mode, but I need to kind of.
Have you even tried? So, all right. So, like, do you know what? We'll talk about it offline, because I was going to talk to you about Herbalife, but that's something I'm into now as well.
Okay.
We'll chop that offline, man. But let me just shift and get you in here. New signings, bro. We got some. The team is moving crazy this summer. I say this summer. It's not even the beginning. We're at the start of the summer now. Yeah. But we were moving crazy before that. Liverpool are signing players left, right, and center, linked with players left, right, and center, and getting rid of, don't want to be rude, but we're getting rid of the less so fortunate guys that are maybe not trusted as much with the gaffer for this new era of Liverpool. But the latest guys, Milos Kerkez, bro. For me, I'll tell you this before I get your opinion on it. He wasn't my first choice, but I wasn't aware of
who was yours.
Eight Nori, man. That was my guy. I wanted him at the club, but he's gone to the ops now, so no longer can support him like that. Now he's the challenger. I could appreciate him at Wolves because I knew they weren't really a rival, but now I want his downfall at, at Man City. But talk to me, bro. Milos Kerkez, man, the latest one to be added to the squad, the Redmen Army.
Bro, it just bolsters everything that we're trying to do. The thing for me, potentially, and one of the interesting probably talking points that people have probably started to pick up on is, does it mean that we're going to start at dawn in a new formation? Will Liverpool potentially move into a back three? You know, the links with Mark Gay here starting to ramp up as well. Obviously, Frimpong, in terms of what he was doing at Bayer Leverkusen, would be familiar with that type of style or formation. Kerkez being as front-footed as he is in terms of that intensity that he provides in his offer, in terms of his own natural game style. I think there's a potential that, even if it's only in pre-season, we might see a little bit of tinkering. We might see Slot trying to assimilate some of these new boys in with a new style of play. I think one of the things that benefited us a large part of last season was Liverpool didn't change too much, but the changes were subtle enough that other teams still couldn't actually put their finger on what Liverpool were going to do in any given game, how they was going to approach it. There'd be some games where we was like City and there'd be no real identifiable number 9. He'd go with that box and it'd be the wide players that you'd be expecting to do the damage. Obviously, you know, Salah, with the amount of goals and assists that he was putting up in terms of those numbers, then he'd sometimes go back and it would revert back to and having Darwin in there, and then it would be, you know, it would be Diaz or Gakpo, and then it would still be Salah. So teams struggled, and I think he kind of wants to keep that element of, I'm going to let other teams second guess themselves about how Liverpool are going to set up and how Liverpool are going to attack, because if we do that, it means that we're not predictable. And I think to a point before Slot came in, there was a little bit of a predictability. I don't know if it was, I don't know if stale was the right word, but
might be.
Yeah, if it wasn't happening down that right-hand side, if Trent really wasn't on his game, on his day to provide the assists and that creative spark, it looked a little bit lackluster at points. And in order to kind of free ourselves from those shackles, I think Slot was able to kind of figure out a way that kind of helped us maneuver, especially in the league anyway. We was able to maneuver it for a long period where, you know, teams couldn't actually get the better of us, and we was dominating most games. I think the likes of a Kerkez and the likes of a Frimpong, they give us that extra dimension. They give us that ability to be able to do that. I also believe, for me, it's really important that in Kerkez, there is still the adequate understudy or deputy to his role. Because I think there's a nice balance on that right-hand side where you're going to play 2 games a week. Frimpong, Kerkez start, play 60, 70 minutes, last 20 minutes. A Bradley or a Robbo or a Tsimikas come on. Okay, midweek, Bradley, Tsimikas or Robbo start, do 70 minutes, then Kerkez. So I think that level of rotation is going to be a consistent theme for us. I don't think it's going to be periods where it'll be Frimpong 2 games a week for a month. Then you'll get your little bit of a rest, and then Bradley will pick up 2 or 3 games here and there once the competition starts to change around. I think it will probably be more of a consistent between you 4 lads. You're all going to get your minutes, but you're all going to heavily rotate between yourselves when you get those games. And one set will start a match, the other set will finish a match, and then the ones that finish the match, you will start the next match. And I can imagine he would try to operate in that way. But having that level, it helps them stay to the levels and keep fit. But having them be able to do that will be really important, because I think in terms of what they give us from that respect, it just keeps it fresh. And again, I imagine it means that outside of Verts being more of a creative spark for us, the fullbacks are going to be really integral to getting us on the front foot going forward in the next season.
The young, like, because now we've dropped, I say we dropped the age profile down a slight peg in terms of the fullbacks. Now you've got Kerkez now, 21, turning 22, Frimpong 24, Bradley's a massively young talent as well. And then it depends on who you keep. Is it Robbo staying or is it Tsimikas? For me, I would keep Robbo. I think we need that senior deputy in there. I would rather, so this was my stance, I'd rather give Robbo a year's extension and then let him stay. And if you're looking to move him on, at least then you move him on with a year left on his deal instead of letting him go for free. So that was my kind of stance. And listening to Kerkez,
Either way, though, for
yeah,
8 mil, bro. If Robbo went for free,
come
we've
on.
had value for money and then some. Do you get me?
Just
So
my business hat. My business hat is saying it
yeah,
can't be
no,
less.
well, there's still a value in him. Whether it's an 8 million or it's a 20 million or whatever, there's still a value in a player with that's won at home a number of times and then still has that level of experience to be able to offer a young team or to kind of give that tutelage to a young fullback. It's there in abundance, so I completely get it from a business perspective. It's an asset to us. However, the other side of it is, I'm like, look, we've had a good 6-7 years out of my man. We haven't actually got every last drop out of him, but if Liverpool are going to move away from sentimental FC to we're going to stand on business FC, I understand being like, right, thank you for what you've done. You're a servant, you're a legend. But if you want to go, you go with our blessing at the same time.
Nah, I appreciate that. Nah, some of these comments are killing me. Big up, man. This said the E&E experience. Love the collab. Big up to you, John, man. Big up to the guys in the chat as well, man. Appreciate you guys as always. But he said, look, this is the biggest club in England, which we agree fully with that. We're now at the top. Well, we're like 3 trophies clear now of that other club. What were they called again? The other one behind us.
62.
I don't know where they are. Wherever they are, they're just behind us now. But looking at this, Errol, bro, we got I want to say a brand new, but it's not brand new, but it's new. A new back four looking to come and take and tear apart the Premier League. So you got Virgil, Kanate, you'd say would stay, and then Frimpong swapping out with Bradley, and then you've got Kerkez coming in and him and Robbo rotating. But just looking at that, if I was like the oppositions and the rivals, I'd be scared. If I was the fullbacks on the other side and the wingers on the other side, I'm like, I am gonna have to get fit this season because I'm gonna have to go both ways now. I'm gonna have to be up and down because these guys are gonna be doing
that's their game, and that's the springboard really. And again, I think in terms of Salah, if I'm just talking about the right hand side, for example, Salah's game is now changed from being kind of out and out wide man. He doesn't want to be central focal, but he wants to drift in and wants to be kind of an inside forward, more or less. Which means that there's so much space and opportunity, which Szoboszlai would drift out to kind of open up the pitch for us a little bit at times. Trent sometimes would go around the outside, but we all know that the track and back element from Trent was always lacking, for a number of reasons. Frimpong, on the other hand, now is that guy who is going to want that space. He is going to say, that space that Salah vacates, that's my space that I'm going to make mine. So I'm going to be an extra presence. So hopefully it gives him more space on the inside pocket because he's taking a man out there with him. And then hopefully as well, there's always that additional option of somebody that's got the potential to put in quality balls into the box and land to the right people in front of them. So from that perspective, just on the right-hand side alone, it's even more exciting than potentially last year because that energy and that dynamism and that desire is back. And we've had that, like, what is it, 18-19, Trent? When we're in the Champions League against Barcelona. It's him who gives the ball away to set up the goal for Wijnaldum. Do you get me? It's like, boom, I've given it away. Oh, I need to go back and get it. And it's that kind of intensity that, I think, I'm not saying it's been gone since then, but it's that kind of intensity.
Lacked a little bit since then,
Yeah. But that kind of intensity to say, right now, that's the drive that we're going with again to replicate. We desperately need that because we see the best out of Salah when we've got that option there as well. And again, the balance. For me, that's, the key to all of this when we're working with these fullbacks. What I'm most interested in is we've now got a creative fulcrum in Verts. How attacking do we want to go with the fullbacks? By 2 that are like this, it just suggests that there's going to be at least 3 areas across that pitch now where creativity can happen at any given moment. You can't rest, you can't sleep on this Liverpool attack because there's 5 or 6 forward-thinking players that are all going to provide output. And I think we just go up tenfold if it all works and it clicks.
Do you know it's crazy? Because I was saying it the other day. I was like, I missed the days of the little overlap pass and the cutback cross. I feel like we don't do enough of that. I was watching City last night against Juve, and I'm just seeing one of their goals down the line, Savinho overlap cross, tapping Haaland. I'm like, when was the last time we scored consistently like that? When was the last time we offered that? And I think we tried to change slightly and I don't know, maybe trying to get the best out of Trent and going, look, we're not going to use you as an overlapping fullback no more. We're going to use you as an underlapping fullback, or you're going to sit in that pocket and try and create from that position. But then it left Mo with 2-3 players at times. And then he's not got the same ability where he can take people on as good as he used to. So then he's in games where he's getting marshaled out of the game, not looking like he's going to do anything. So now offering, you know, the marauding Bradley and the marauding Frimpong, that's now going to be like, do I stay with Salah here or allow the overlap? And I don't think they will.
No, did Bradley set up one towards the end of the season? The chat will probably let me know. That was one where he cut it back. I think it might have been the Brighton game. It might have been the Brighton game. I don't know.
I think it was either Jones or someone was in the box for and they squeezed it in.
And he squeezed it in. But I think the other thing as well to remember from a signings perspective, when Klopp used to sign certain players that were going to be key individuals to his team, there was a defined bedding in period that he needed in order to try and get them on page, on song, with what their actual role was supposed to be within the squad. And it took a bit of time for us to get used to it because we're like, we bought this guy for X amount of M's. We want them to just hit the ground running.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's like, nah, just trust what I'm doing with them. I'm tinkering the game. I'm bedding them in. And it doesn't have to be instantaneous in that respect, but they'll come good. And it worked by and large. What's going to be really interesting for me, because Slot really didn't get the chance of just having Chiesa brought over the line last season, is what is the bedding in time required for Havertz? What is going to be the bedding in time required for these new fullbacks? But where I feel there's going to be a level of reassurance from a fan base perspective is, okay, well, it's not broke, don't fix it. So Bradley still knows what his job is.
Yeah.
And we know he can be on job. So if Frimpong, you know, for whatever reason, does take us 3 to 5 to 6 weeks to get him up to speed, I'm not worried that we're lacking defensively and there's holes or there's weak areas defensively, because I know Bradley will come in to do a job provided he stays fit. Likewise, which is why I wanted to keep Robbo for that same level of continuity across the board. We might not be able to bed in all 5, 6 of our new starters and they all hit the ground run. If he has to be a little bit more calculated to say, right, in the beginning of the season, it's more important that I get Wirtz to the level because we just spent crazy money on him. But that might mean that the fullbacks, as a result, they just take a little bit longer to bed in. But I'm not worried because in the first instance, that back line's got some real continuity to it as well. So I think there's that to be considered. As much as we all want shiny new toys and we want them to just come in and hit the ground running, I do still believe, again, it'll be to Slot's credit, but it'll be interesting to see how he then phases in and implements those extra players that come into the team this summer. Because it'll be really important to see which pieces he prioritizes to try and get the most out of in as quick a time as possible, while still trying to blend in and get that balance right with the wider squad.
That's a great point, you know, in terms of what piece should we focus more on to try and get the best out of. Ideally, you want to go with your more expensive player because he's the one that you know that more pressure is going to be on.
It's going to be him. It's going to be him, Wirtz, or to me, it's either Wirtz or the number 9. One of those two pieces of that puzzle. It's like, right, how do we ensure that you guys are in the best possible condition? So, and you understand exactly what we're trying to do going forward, so that once it clicks, we can then start looking at the other pieces that complement that. Because I never expect us to get up to full speed by November. I just expect us to be in second gear, but within touching distance of the chase and pack. To be like, when Liverpool are ready to turn it on. And sometimes we go through that end of November into early January where we're just on smoke, bro.
Yeah, we're just churning out results, wins. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's Real, Newcastle, City, or like, boom, you give us all that fixture congestion and we still get the results that we need along the way.
Like we did last season. Like when we had the Chelsea, the Newcastles, the Real Madrid, the Cities, and I thought, and the Aston Villas, it was all in that. And those 5, I was just like, ooh, that's going to be. But we just came out of there, and I was like, bro, we've actually won all 5, and then we moved on again. I'm like, okay,
unscathed, just like, okay, this is nice. So ideally, you know, I always expect us to take that little bit of bedding in time anyway for most seasons to kick into gear. But it'll be interesting with adding in so many new components. Okay, what does that look like, and what should then be the expectation for us as fans to be like, all right, no, if Frimpong's not tearing it up and down in the first 3 weeks, we don't need to panic as such, because we've got Bradley there, and Bradley's on job, and he knows exactly what he should be doing, where he needs to be on the pitch at any given time. So we don't have to lose sight that, all right, there's a load of players coming in, we're expecting them all to just kick on and take us up to that next level. Like, that could still take 4 to 6 months before, you're starting to see what we've seen with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, where you think, wow, he had that 3-month period. You think, wow, like, you can't drop him. Like, you just can't drop him. Obviously, the injury kind of
derailed him. I know he went
derailed it completely. But up until that point, it's like, that's what we've been waiting for. So then when it comes good, the whole team as a result has an extra layer to them. So it'll be interesting to see. But that's what I'm most excited about, really, how he kind of prioritizes who to get the best out of and when.
Nah, it's true. Ox, I just remember that day he was on such good form, and he ran to go and press and win a ball back, and then his knee went out. Like, listening to what from Dave O'Cop, little comment from him and saying about what Tom Werner was speaking about, and he used the word relentless. And that we're looking to challenge. We know it's going to be challenging and exciting times coming. What does that mean to you when you see quotes from the chairman like that, and you go, okay, so we brought in Florian Wirtz, we've got Frimpong, so we've got a new right back, we've got Kerkez now. We're still looking at a strike, and we're still looking at a centre back. We're hearing like quotes like this. What does it mean to you? Because for me, it feels like we're ready to take over now. It's time for us to show the world what Liverpool's actually about, instead of being bit part.
Yeah, well, I agree completely in that sentiment, and I think there's this idea that City just go back to being treble winning City, or go back to Centurion City. And I don't think it's going to be as easy as people are painting it out to be. I think there's going to be still some teething issues, still question marks whether Rodri comes back and can re-establish the level he had before his injury. I still think there are a few new ingredients that they're putting in. It's like, okay, how well did they bed in? Are they going to be able to be of the quality that Sané used to provide for City, Sterling when he was at his best at City? Are they going to get anything like a Mahrez back in terms of clutch goals and impact? And it's not to say that they won't, because they'll always have the money to back themselves. If it's not working, they'll pivot very quickly. They'll stand on business FC. If it's not working, we're not waiting for you to come good. We'll just find another replacement, and we'll deal with you down the line, as they did with Calvin Phillips. But I don't think straight away off the bat they are guaranteed to reach those levels again overnight.
I'm with you.
And I think there's a massive opportunity that after the PSG game, we went a million miles away. I don't think we played across the 180 minutes. I don't think we played any of our best football. And to still be in it, considering how PSG dismantled most of our opposition in the knockouts of that Champions League, says a lot. Do you know what I mean? There was still a lot of good performances in there, good individual performances. There were some good moments, opportunities that if we put it away, can change the face of the tie. But that, to me, in that midfield, that pace that they was able to show, and their fullbacks, I think Slot took a lot from that to be like, that's the level. And even if it's not necessarily the level in terms of profile of quality, that's the level in terms of output and hard yards run in a game, in terms of the speed that he wants his games to be played at, especially when you're playing the European game. So then when you take it back to these quotes here that I can see on the screen, it's like, well, how do you get to that point of being relentless? Because whether we like it or not, we didn't spend really last summer. All right, you can say whatever you want, big part player and all the rest of it. But we got everything out of that team last year. The players that are aging, there are players that have moved on, there are players that Slot doesn't necessarily trust and fancy. So the next best thing is to show that desire and to show that hunger. Is we are at the top. I even put it to, we are the apex predator of the Premier League right now, And in order to do that, we don't have to concern ourselves with the little fish, but to have that hunger and that desire. And it also for me boils down to, you've sat there around a big boardroom table with Mohamed Salah's people and with Virgil van Dijk's people. They've basically given you 2 years to say but that means we have to win now. Yeah. And in order to give them those guarantees, the only thing you can do, even if you've got a winning team, is say, well, in order to go again, we have to add to that now. And that's where their buy-in is. So when I seen that they said, I knew in my heart of hearts, my
Same.
gut feeling's telling me it's going to be a big summer because these are serious players. Whether players and people will mock it or not, say Salah's going to get in the Ballon d'Or conversation, he thinks he's good enough to be. Virgil van Dijk knows he's the best centre-half in the Premier League. Those lads demand success as part of their CV going forward. So if they're committing those 2 years, it's because they've had reassurances that can be attainable. It's not a guarantee because nothing in this sport is a guarantee, but it could be attainable if we had the right pieces. So I think that relentless desire comes from players like that wanting it as much as they do, wanting to do it in the club as well. I think it's so important because, look, face it, forget Trent. If Virg says I want to win now, I can go to Real Madrid. I'll just go to Real Madrid on a free, and I'm guaranteed to win. Like, I'm in that Real Madrid squad with Mbappe, with Tchouaméni, with Camavinga, with the next one, and I'm guaranteed, Bellingham, I'm guaranteed to win. But it means something to be able to say, I want to do it here. So to be able to say, yeah, I'm staying with the club and doing it, it meant that for me, the club had to put on the serious hat and say, well, we can't give them false promises because, all right, we don't get anybody in over the line. Salah does a madness in the winter and then thinks, I'm breaking my back here and I've still got donkeys up top that can't finish their dinner. Like, what are we doing? Do you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, his level drops off a little bit because he's like, bro, I was promised so much. It's not happening. No, I'm just going to see it out because I'm getting paid. And, it's not how I want it to go. To keep them hungry, you have to have hungry cats around them. And to bring those people in now, for me, it signifies that there is an opportunity that if Liverpool can be that flagship, if we can be that apex, that we're the new bar to set, go and extend it. While you're at the top, go and extend it even further because people couldn't get to your level last year. If you extend it further from that and you're an unknown quantity because you add so many components, people are going to struggle to compete with what you've got going on again. And for me, that's where I think City will struggle because their competition has always been them. Now the real prospect is Liverpool are the competition. How do we eclipse them? And then the likes of the other chasing pack again, it's like, you may as well chase yourselves for top 4 finishes as far as I'm concerned. Let's be honest, you haven't equipped yourselves in the same way that Liverpool have. And it means now that the Champions League can be taken seriously in a whole nother, to a whole nother extent, because ultimately we should have the squad size, depth and quality to compete on all 4 fronts.
No, in fact, look, do you know what? We definitely should do. And you're right in terms of where we are now. I look at the City team, they changed up. They got in about, they say, since January in the summer, 5 players. Then now in the summer, this year, they've got in another 3 to 4 players. See, that's going to take, Pep a long time to get or gel all of these guys together, figure out what formation to use, where is best to use everyone. You got Rodri back, but is he the same Rodri yet? Is he's got that same level of how he was in the Premier League? Is the Premier League surpassed him in the last year? We have to wait and see. Foden, will he be back or is he just living off the hype of I've won all the trophies now? Is there any more hunger in him? No more. Because he's won so many Premier Leagues. He's got a Champions League. Is the hunger still there? And the new players you brought in, I like Reinders. I think he's a good player. Aït-Nouri, I mentioned at the start of the stream, I think is a good player. And then Ryan Shirky. But then where are you going to put them? Gravado last season was City's best, one of their best fullback, if not their best defender. Scoring goals, left foot, right foot, and being a dominant force now. But now you've got competition there. So what happens then? Is that going to be a falling out on that side? Where does Shirky play? Because Savinho looks like he's on it again. He's now back as well. Oscar Bob is back. So there's a lot of headache for them in terms of that, and it's good to have the headache. But I think with Pep, because he's so used to being at the top, now he has to chase again and go again. I don't know if he's got that in him. We have to kind of wait and see. And then with the others, as you mentioned, the chasing pack, Arsenal got a lot of work to do. Chelsea's got a lot of work to do because even with all the money they spend, I don't know if the guys they've
There's
got
no cohesion. There's no cohesion.
Exactly. That's what I think. They don't.
They're not a cohesive team. You know what I'm saying? And I think from the chasing pack's perspective, it's like they would have to do so much to really be able to be like in the conversation that I just think you will have too many moments of inconsistencies. I've said it for a number of years. It's, to be fair to Arsenal, at one point they did surprise me a little bit with how consistent they were. But I said, until I could see another team doing 10 on a row where they're just getting W's, I can't look past Liverpool or City because they've done it. They've got a history in this period of saying, when push comes to shove, if we need to go 10-0, we're going to go 10-0. And that's going to give us either a cushion, a buffer, or take us to the top. And Arsenal at one point were capable of that, but then last season, just far too many draws were in that. And again, my biggest dawning season, because again, maths has never been my strong suit, but I remember 08-09, we had 2 losses all season. And I was like, how have we won this league? Like, how? If we've only lost to 2 teams all season, how are we not Premier League? And then I've looked, and then I've had to do some mad maths to be like, wow, draws are a lot more of a handicap to you than you actually realize.
Nice.
And I've always knew from then, really, okay, yeah, I want to avoid as many draws. I'd rather have 5 losses than 9 draws.
No, but it's crazy because there was a season either after that. I'm sure we only had 1 defeat as well.
Yeah. We've done it a couple of times. What? And you think, whoa, really? Like, and it's the draws that you end up accumulating over the course of the season that ultimately just chip away at your chances of winning. You can still qualify for Europe. There's nothing wrong with that. But in terms of being able to lock it off and win a league, if you end up with, and I remember a show I did a couple of months back, and I think I looked, and in the last, again, in terms of the exact, I might be off now, but maybe in the last 6 or 7 seasons, no teams won the league with more than 8 or 9 draws under the belt. So from when you hit that mark, I don't care how many losses you've got, because I know you can't win the league. Do you get me? Like, if you want to respectable and you want to push 90, you're not going to do it. And I always think that's quite an interesting thing, where I think currently those other chasing teams, to me, are going to have that level of inconsistency. If I had to put my house on which team will have that 10-game run, I can only really ever say with confidence it'd be City or Liverpool.
Nah, fairs. Let's talk about the outgoings. So we've got 1, potentially 2, and potentially 3. How are you feeling about this? Because the Darwin Núñez, I think his time is not. I get that. The Diaz one, I'm less so wanting to happen, but I'll listen to your point in a second. And Harvey, you mentioned something earlier, like if we want to get to the next level, we're gonna kind of have to get rid of some players to build, right? So, but Harvey for me is like the talent is there, but I know, and I'm blinded by it. I know that he doesn't have a space now where he can go and actually become the player I believe he can become, just because of who we have in the team and where we're planning to go. And I feel like the train, he's like, you either have to jump on the train now and fight and win the position, or it's done for you now. You can't become the player I believe you're going to become. But maybe I'm working in delusion, and maybe I'm working in because I like the player, so I'm just being a bit biased. But talk all 3 of them, or if you want to talk about him.
Big up everybody from Fam Zone as well.
Nah, big up
on the raid, man. Big up Dean. Yeah.
Dean.
Do you know what it is? Yeah. And this is going to sound mad. I've still got time for Núñez. I know that sounds mad, but I do. I don't. Again, I've said this to the lads in the studio in the office that, like, maybe it's just the Suarez Uruguay connection. I just think he's got to come good at some point. You get me?
Yeah.
But I understand he commands a value still, and he probably is one of our highest ticket assets to sell on this window. So I get it. If Liverpool are going to go out the way and get another number 9, Núñez does then have to make way. I still think, again, I will follow Núñez on the continent. I will be a Núñez fan on the continent, because if he goes to Napoli, if he goes to Atletico, trust me, Núñez is going to bag stupid number of goals. I don't know how he gets to that point, but I just think he's not built for the Prem in the same way. There's a level of intelligence that you've got to have in this Premier League, that some forwards that you don't think have got it turn out and have it, like a Mane. I never thought Mane was clever enough to be able to put the Prem in a headlock the way that he did, but Mane was a clever. Núñez has got all the athleticism and all the talent, all the ability, but he's not up there enough for me in the Prem. Slower leagues maybe suit him to be able to do his natural game. I can understand it if we then say, as an asset, there's money, let's get the money and let's move him on. Then it frees up the space in the middle. Diaz is the interesting one for me, because I said at the start of last season, I was prepared to give Diaz, Jota and Núñez all 1 year under Slot, Because my aim for Slot, considering we didn't buy, was he has to get more out of the ingredients he's currently got.
Mm-hmm.
Diaz started the season with a bang, and I was like, okay, I hear this, yeah. I like what I see, and then he plateaus, and then I think there was a start from like September to maybe like February or something. He doesn't come with no goal contributions or that, and I'm thinking this is why I needed him to go, because he's proven over the course of a season it's in patches where he bundles his goals together. Back end of the season, he came clutch again. And I was like, you know what? When you deep it, 55 grand a week, 27, 28 nearly, he's probably going to be in the best form. He's settled. He's over here. He's got a family over here now.
Mm-hmm.
To keep him, give him that contract where he probably touches 100 grand, 110 grand a week, he probably earns it. And I couldn't begrudge him, because if we're going to complement that left-hand side now with some other attacking individuals or players that can come in and offer something and add some more support to him, that might free him up a little bit. But now, obviously, because he's not 100% convinced, he seems a little bit upset or disgruntled. I'm like, if he wants to go, he can go, because I still think there are better players in this current market, value for money wise. He still commands another 50, 60 mil potentially. Will another team buy him for that? I don't know. I'm on the fence.
Right?
Yeah, Barca's the one. I'm on the fence. Where I stand at the end of the season, I would have kept him. Given the extension on his contract, he's deserved it. It's in terms of all the other bits of work that needs to be done, that isn't a big problem. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. And by the end of the season, I didn't think it was necessarily broke. And I thought he's more of an added value than a detractor of value to us. So I was on the fence, but now that there's the murmurs I'm like, all right, if you want a fresh start, bro, again, let's just stand on business and let's just do the deal. If that's what you want to do, if you want to push for it, do it. If you're not pushing for it, stay, be a part of it. And as I say, let's see how you get on next season. And then Harvey Elliott, for me, I like Harvey. I like Harvey. I've got time for him. I've just always struggled to see where in this team we're going to consistently get the best out of you. You're not quick enough to be a right winger. You're not big enough. You've not got enough pace. And I don't see you as an 8. And I thought we'd play with more of an out-and-out 10. I thought there would have been at the start of the season last year. I thought he'd have like his little gem. I thought he'd have his little magician.
He did, and he got injured though, didn't he?
Yeah, and then I was like, can you get back into it though? And can you get back to that level? Look, at the minute, he looks good. He's in great form. He's fit as anything. He's hungry. He wants to stay here. And it's like you're torn between the sentiments of a player actually really wanting to only play for your club, but then also you've got to do right by him. And he's a professional football player. And when you are as good as Harvey Elliott is, as talented as he is, there are teams across the league that would pay good money to have his talent set in their squad, and he improves their squad. Does he currently improve this Liverpool starting 11? No, is the blunt answer. And because of that, I'm like, you've got to do right by the player then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a world where, because of his loyalty and his love for the club, all right, put on either a really good sell-on fee or put in a buy-back clause, because who knows where Szoboszlai is in 2 to 3 years? Who knows where Maka is in 2 to 3 years? Both of them might end up getting tapped up by Real Madrid or whatever ends up happening. Do you get me? So having someone on the books to Harvey Elliott and says, yeah, he's been playing first team football, Premier League for the last 2 seasons. He's put up 15 GA, two seasons back to back, and we're going to lose a midfielder. We can get him back for 35, 40 mil, cut price deal. It makes sense. Do you know what I mean? But at this moment in time, I'm like, if it was going to have happened for Harvey, I feel like it would have by now. And I think, again, Slot would have wanted to use him more already to kind of give us signs that that was the case. I think the way that Slot has used them, not necessarily treated them, but I think the way that he's used them probably suggests Slot would be quite happy to do it without you if he had to do it without you. I don't think he's going to lose any sleep if Harvey Elliott starts ripping up trees for a Brighton or a Brentford.
Newcastle was the latest link as well.
I think that'd be a good fit for him. He'd still get Champions League football as well. Do you get me? And go chat to Isaac and tell him, yo, yeah, I'll go one way, you go either way. Yeah.
2 starts he had under Arne Slot in the Premier League. That's crazy.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
That's 2 starts. Wow.
And then unfortunately, always been that problem where when you play with the lesser team, the expectation for you to be the big game player is so difficult. And I think even in those moments, he even struggled a little bit. And again, the PSG moment as a super sub, I think he's an excellent option off the bench in terms of tired legs, picking up those little holes and those pockets of space. I think he's great. But is he going to want that now? You know, when you've got other England under 21s that are probably starting to leapfrog him in the international pecking order, at some point something's got to give to be like, well, I want to be get a senior cap as well. I want to make senior appearances. You know, if he has a breakout season in the Premier League for a Newcastle or a Tottenham, say, both playing Champions League football, and absolutely rips up the league and Champions League does he get a shout for England in the World Cup next year? These are the things that you'll be thinking right here, right now. He'll be playing for England under 21s in 12 months' time. Where if he went and moved away and got given the freedom and the license to play his game, there's an argument that England could use somebody,
especially the way he's playing for the under 21s as well. If they go on to win the tournament, then he's got that. And then if he's playing first team football, then England will probably be like, yeah, we could probably use you in this team.
Yeah, 100%.
But look, in terms of what it could look like, I know I've added what it could look like by the end of the window. There's an extra guy in there where we haven't seen yet, but he might be. Mark Gay, he could be on his way. But we've got Mamardashvili, Kerkez, we've got Frimpong, we've got Florian Wirtz, and then we could also have the number 9, the new number 9, Alexander Isak, could be at Liverpool. If you see this at the end of your window, what would you act out a character? Would you start saying stuff? What would you be? What would you be like?
Bro, people gonna hate me. I'm gonna be on my worst behavior for the entirety. Do you know what it is? Yeah, it's twofold. We are champions, so as champions, you can't be no shrinking violet. You've got to back what your team have done. So there'd be that level of bravado for being champions. And I think that's only fair. Do you get me? I've had to sit and listen to LB for a number of years talking his shit because his team's been winning. And when his team are winning, I can't say nothing. Do you get me? I've just got to hold it and say, all right, fair. Game is game. You add that roster to my squad, doggy. Bro, they're not going to like me because us Scousers anyway, we got a little bit of arrogance and a little bit of flair. We can be a little bit fiery. I'll stick it on them all. There ain't going to be a content creator that I will not stick it on next season. And I already put the tweet out. You best talk to me nicely for 2025, 2026. Because I've got time for everybody. I'm a nice guy. I'm humble brother, really. But you let us cook up this, then yeah, everybody can hold it and anybody can get it because, again, the game's the game. We're here to entertain people. These lads give me the utmost confidence that we can be on smoke. So I'm gonna be on AK-47 settings and everybody's in view. And again, it's all love. I let the team do the talking on the pitch. But honestly, as Mark G says in the chat there, what a time to be a Red. If I can't revel in it now, when am I ever going to...
When?
Get me? When City bought Haaland, they had De Bruyne, they had Bernardo Silva, they had Gundogan, they had the defensive line that was still doing bits, they had Rodri. Did them man sit there and say, oh, well, we're just going to be humble about what we've got?
No, they were chatting the utmost smoke. Oh, we got this and we got that and we are this and we're that and we're winning the Premier League. And look, we've won 4 in a row. We were getting.
They let you know what time it was.
I started seeing City fans. I didn't know that were City fans. They were just like Bobby out and about on my day-to-day City shirts. I'm like, I've seen this guy go into the shop. I did not know. All of a sudden, chest is out, walking with a different swagger. So yeah, we're gonna do the exact same now. And
that's it. It'll be dark for people because I will be on a villain archetype, like genuinely. And again, it's not even like a false bravado of like, oh, it's potential. All of this could nah. I'm expecting this to be good. I'm expecting this to be historic settings. And when the going's good, you just gotta let people know where the good cooking came from. So that'll be my energy for the next season. I'll be going in very confident. As I say, I will try and rein it in and not try to be too brash with it. But when they start to pipe up with their agendas, I'll just
Yeah.
have to I'm happy to do some checks and balances and just let people know what time it is. But you know what it is, like I say, it's all about entertainment, it's all about fun. I feel like the YouTube thing is a funny little world and it's a funny space at the best of times, but Liverpool putting in a package like this by the end of the transfer window, especially because we only got Chiesa last year, I feel like I've got a double up on at least the excitement. So if you see a lot more excited and animated version of me, it's purely because Liverpool have rose the bread, and it's not often that you get a complete, and I've said it for so many seasons now, you don't always get a complete transfer window where you get every department locked off. You have to make do, and you have to make concessions, and you have to ultimately, a coach will work with what he's got to try and get the best out of them. However, this to me would be the complete window. You get a certified number 9. You get a certified creative 10. You get 2 new young full-backs that are the most upcoming ones in Europe. You've got another goalkeeper in there that was going to now push Ali on and potentially take the reins in the next. And then you get another sense, like, and you've still got Salah, and you've still got Van Dijk, you've got Maka now hitting prime, you've got Gravenberch that's showing levels that we didn't think he had, and he's still only under 22, 20. Like, honest to God, yo, like, this is a complete team of winners, invincible winners, some of them, Champions League winners, Premier League winners. It's all there, ready to go. So from my perspective, I'm like, I'm a bang the drum for my team because the board have gone hard this summer.
I just trying to, you know, it's crazy because I've been trying to hold it in terms of, I don't want to start acting out of character, but I'm proper excited, and I know I'm going to be arrogant this season because you don't want us to. You know, the one I'm looking forward to, the Arsenal game. We need to smoke these, man. They're getting on my nerves. Everton as well. They need to hold smoke. I just didn't like how the commentators, pundits, and I didn't like how everything kind of fell in line last season for them in that draw. That still has triggered me this season.
You made an excellent point. Keep spitting.
No, I need the United one as well, because we can beat them, but sometimes for some reason we just go,
they drag us to their level. They drag us to their level.
We need like City now. With City, I'm just like, I've seen us smoke them twice last season. I know that the game's going to be a lot more competitive, but I know we can beat that team. And then the rest of the league, I just want to let them know. I want to go into the game where before you'd go into the game and they're in the tunnel, they look across and they go, yeah, that's going to be a difficult game. And they already know they're going to be defeated. There's always
one team. Chelsea used to have it, United used to have it, City have had it, we've had it for a shorter period. But there's always one team that when the teams line up in a tunnel, they look at them and say, we don't fancy today.
I don't want this.
We don't want that smoke. And we lost that aura and got dragged back into Liverpool. Like playing Liverpool and beating them is the biggest game of our season. So let's give it all. And to find balance between, it's long and we're up for it. Man U are currently in that now. If anybody can kick Man U while they're down, their team's confidence goes through the roof, even if Man U's quality is poor. Say Arsenal got dragged into it last year. They've been good for a couple of years, but if we can challenge them and give them a few bruises, we're laughing. The point that you made, which was absolutely excellent, though, and you said it brilliantly, the media. The media last season wrote Liverpool Football Club off before a ball was even kicked. Now, let me tell you this, there's going to be a complete 180 on expectations from the said media 12 months down the line. Oh, they bought this one, they bought that one. I'm expecting. So I'm ready. So the YouTube thing is the YouTube thing. The shots that I will be firing in the straight, it'll be for them media people that sit there and think, we're in the game, we're long-toothed in the game, we've got experience, we used to play. All of them, man, there that just think, because you showed your true colours last year, because you know nothing. You know very little about actually what it takes and what the difference is going to be from one team to the next team, from one season to the next year. So because you exposed yourselves last year, I am not going to allow you to now try and hold us to this false standard purely because you think the shooting outfits. Okay, that's the description, and that's what we expect of a challenger. That's what we expect of challenging teams to do X, Y, and Z. No. None of that. None of that. You don't get to do that. Us YouTubers, the YouTubers and the people in our sphere, we can do that all day. That's part of our agendas. They have to run. But you media people know you will address it game by game based on what you see performance-wise in front of you. You can't give me no mad predictions and give me some mad expectations that Liverpool have to be challenging on all four fronts and have to go and win a quad and have to do this and have to do that. Nah. You can just watch how we do week by week and give me your analysis after the fact. I ain't trying to hear no precursors to none of your bullshit because it's just hot air. That's all it is from the mainstream.
And I think from that, we'll move on from there. We'll go to, as we said, man, we've got a quick fire. We call this the hot seat, Errol, bro. We get quick fire. As I said, it's slightly different to the one I've done previously. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was a more long form question, either or. But this one's snappy, just names, and then let's see how quickly you can do it in. I know you're a competitive man, so I know you're going to try and. What is a target out of 20 questions, either or? Do you think you could hit from a timer perspective?
Have I got does the time just continue to run, or is it
just
continue?
And then if you get some, and then the other people that we get to sit down with, they will try and be
20. What? 20. I want to do it in less than a minute and 20, a minute 10.
A minute 10.
Yeah, a minute 10. I want to lock in.
You locked in.
Yeah,
you locked in, yeah.
Some
of them, I think some of these are kind of straightforward. It's just whether or not. If you have a bias on one side, maybe that will end up being a quicker answer. Maybe if you're like, oh, this, I have to think about it, maybe you're going to be like, and then that's where the seconds kind of go. All right, let me make sure I've got it ready. Yep, I've got it up. So you obviously, I'm not going to show you what it is. You go. No. Tell me when you're ready, and then I'll start the timer.
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Salah or Mbappe?
Salah.
Klopp or Guardiola?
Klopp.
Anfield or Old Trafford?
Anfield.
Virgil or Ruben Diaz?
Virg.
Gerrard or Lampard?
Gerrard.
Trent or Reece James?
Reece James.
Alisson or Edison?
Alisson.
Nunes or Isak?
Isak, yeah.
Luis Diaz or Rashford?
I gotta go Lucho. Still gotta go Lucho.
Thiago or Modric?
Modric.
Prime Torres or Prime Aguero?
Prime Torres.
Jude Bellingham or Enzo Fernandez?
Yeah, Jude.
Arne Slot or Eric Ten Hag?
Arne Slot.
Champions League or the Premier League?
Champs.
Konate or Saliba?
Saliba.
Robbo or Alphonso Davies?
Alphonso Davies.
Premier League 1999 Arsenal or 1920 Liverpool?
1920 Liverpool.
McAllister or Bruno Fernandes?
Maka.
Haaland or Lewandowski?
Lewandowski.
Liverpool of today or Liverpool under Prime Klopp?
Prime Klopp.
Minute 22 seconds. So you had what one held you up? Did Luis Diaz and Rashford? Why was that?
You know what it is? Yeah, because I'm thinking of player profiles. So obviously Diaz for me sometimes isn't the main man. When Man United have had better periods in their shit, Rashford had been their main man still for them, and as a personality profile as well. Everyone berates Rashford, but Rashford can't get away with stuff that Grealish gets away with, and I always just think he's not as bad as people make out that he is. Do you get me? So I'm thinking personality. Do you know what I mean? I'm not just thinking pure player output at the and I'm one of them. As soon as I start getting into my own head of why I'm unpacking it, I can just see the seconds racking up. I'm like, actually, guys, I need to just go with the basic. Yeah, Lucho is a better player right now than Rashford, and that's what it boiled down to in the end.
All right, and then the other one that you got, the Nunes and Isak one. That one was
I thought Nunes is still my guy, bro. It's mad. He's like, remember that kid that you when we went to school, there was always that one kid that he wasn't a bad kid. He was probably didn't get the attention of his parents at home. He come to school, he used to act out a little bit, he disrupt the class. But when you get him on a good day,
he's one of the best kids you've ever been around.
Yeah, and he hasn't got much to give you, but he's always ready to give you a packet of crisps, or he's always ready to do this for you. He's always saying, yeah, you can come round to us. He's that type of person to me, where it's you are not and again, you can't do right for doing wrong. there are moments or things that happen in the team that happen for other players. Like Jota was blown out stinker after stinker. And I'm thinking, if Núñez puts in that performance, Núñez is getting slated, but Jota, because he's got credit in the bank, even though he's never completed the full season, do you know what I mean? And all these things. And I'm like, there's just something about me where I'm endeared to that type of person. Maybe because I was a little bit of that kid to get me, maybe a little bit to get me. Like, don't get me wrong, I had a good home life, but I was still a little bit of a little shit at times in school. But on the whole, I was a good kid. And when I was good, I was really good. So that's what I see in Núñez. I'm like, there are some days where Núñez's moments are up there with Suarez moments, up there with Torres moments, up there with, Salah moments. But then there's weeks where he just stinks it out and you're like, oh, lad, like, and then he comes out and says something stupid in his own language or says something to the wrong person. And then it's like, it's just like, bro, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Like, just get your head down and just get on with it. So, yeah. And then obviously, because Isaac's never played for us, I'm like, I just want to know, are you still going to be the same good man when you come to us? Whereas it's like, sometimes it's the better the devil you know than the devil you don't.
Nah, listen, I think that's fair, man. And before we wrap up, is there anything that you've got content-wise, either on your side or the Redmen lot, coming up that the people need to know about?
So yeah, I'll be back on watch-along duties from July onwards. Obviously some pre-season stuff just to kind of kick us off nice and early. And then, tonight at 7 o'clock, we're going to go live. I've got Ends on with me as well.
Yeah.
He'll be making his debut on the Red Cartel. So I've obviously put together a little show over on Redmen 2, which is the Red Cartel. So if you do have time this evening, come and kick it with us for the hour again. We'll chop it up. It'll probably be around more transfers, what teams are going to do, who's worrying us, who's not worrying us, more of that kind of stuff. Try and speak about board level as well. What should the boards be really looking to do and kind of implement going forward?
Yeah.
And yeah, bro, literally the next thing for me really in terms of project is the world in one city. So in Liverpool for the last 4 years, there's been an organisation and a collective of lads and girls, to be fair to them, that have put together an amateur World Cup competition. Now, essentially, I'm Black British, but my heritage is Jamaican. I could play for England or I could play for Jamaica because I've got the heritage. Yeah. Obviously, I'm waving the flag for Jamaica every time. I am the Jamaica manager for our team this year. They changed the format. So the first 4 years, it was like a full World Cup format, 16 teams, four groups, group stage. You play everybody in the group at once. Top two would go through to the knockouts. Eventually, you'd get a winner. This year, he's went, scrap it. We're going to go straight knockouts. We're going to have 28 teams. And if you don't win, you go home. So, yeah, our first game is next Tuesday. It's a full 11-a-side game on a half a pitch. So it's very, very tight. There's a few tweaks to the rules. But in terms of the community vibe, it's unbelievable. Like, we do silly numbers. Like, we've got our venue that hosts us. And sometimes for, like, the final, bearing in mind there's no stand. And you're just kind of on the outskirts of a big Astro setting. You can have over 1,000 people, nearly 2,000 people turn up to watch this.
Amazing, man. That's amazing.
For a community type project, it is incredible. It's unbelievable. So, yeah, there's a little bit of time that's gone into that. We got pumped yesterday by Spain in our friendly. But do you know what the mad thing is about the tournament as well? Because we watch so much football, you think Spain, Brazil, England, Germany, got to be great teams.
Yeah.
Because the amateurs and the like Scouse heritage of Jamaica or Scouse heritage of Brazil or Ghana or Nigeria, the level doesn't necessarily translate. So the name on the badge and the names on the back of the shirt doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be balling like R9 Ronaldo or they're going to be balling like CR7 Ronaldo in Portugal. So the levels are just it's open season. So our first game's against Vietnam. I've never been in the tournament. Vietnam might turn up with some ballers. They might turn up with some actual ballers, you get me? Yeah. So we just don't know. There's a Wales team in there that's going to just follow loads of Scousers that, Nans are from Wales. So you know that big, like, in terms of the level of competition, it's just going to be ridiculous. But it's good fun. It's all community spirit.
Can we watch it anywhere there at all, or is it we have to be there, turn up?
So you can all go follow The World in One City on Instagram or on Twitter. And they are pretty good at getting like clips up. You won't get to see full matches, but you'll get to see clips. You'll get to see goals. There have been some viral goals that have done mad numbers from the tournament over the years. But yeah, just again, from a community perspective, like There's no better feeling. It's very grassroots. It's real. And again, that's been another great opportunity for me. That's opened doors to then be able to work with Liverpool Football Club and do some content with them as well. So it just kind of really highlights and demonstrates what Liverpool is great at, and it's football, it's people, it's community. Those things are all the pillars that make it such a great tournament. And
Is it this one?
Yes,
So,
yes.
The World in One, yeah.
The World
so let
in
me
One.
make sure go and get that follow. So yeah, guys, make sure we go and follow that because we need to be paying attention. I'm scrolling through now, and it looks amazing. The
It looks
setup.
proper. We do adverts, we do content for it, you know what I mean? And you'll probably see me at some point popping up in random bits throughout the content as well. So like they're the team in Liverpool that are really doing something for our community. And
I love that, man.
And when I say that, like, you play football, you coach and all the rest of it. When you're trying to organize games with two teams and that's 22 man, or it might be 30, we're doing it with like 400, 500 grown adults, all with their full-time jobs, all with life, all with families, all spinning plates, but they all say, we're pulling up for this tournament. So we've had lads pull up from Birmingham, Manchester, far and wide, come and say, yeah, man, I'm Somalian, or yeah, man, I play for Yemen. Let me get involved. And it just goes off. Flares, the lot, the banging, the drums. It's a proper little carnival that we do for the footy.
Nah, that's beautiful, man. Listen, thanks again, bro, for jumping on. Long time coming. We tried to organize it a while back, but I appreciate you taking the time out to jump on, man. I can't wait for the stream later as well, making a debut on the Red Cartel. So that'll be interesting as well.
Let's get you involved.
On my side, tomorrow I'll be back live. We'll do a bit more transfer stuff. We'll see what's going on, see if anything changes. Maybe there's an update in the Luis Diaz Canate situations. Maybe, there's maybe Mark Gahey probably on his way now. Maybe there's a medical. Maybe there's something else. Maybe there's a little bit of movement in the Isak camp as well. Maybe there's some more news to be said about that. But guys, appreciate you guys as always, man. Smash the like, subscribe, do all that fantastic stuff. We finally hit 4K as well yesterday. So I appreciate you guys, which is massive, massive. I do remember the days of 5 people watching. Now we have over 100 plus.
So we've all been there, and that's the other thing as well. Just keep grinding and doing what you're doing. Stay authentic to yourself, bro. Because as I say, in this space, there's enough for everybody to eat, and as long as you're being true, people will come in and people will vibe with you and understand exactly what it is that you're trying to do in this scene. So as I say, every single time, and for me personally, I love seeing more people like me doing this full stop, especially waving the flag for Liverpool, because like I still get comments on my wow, Black Scousers. I'm like, bro,
you've never been to Liverpool, guys. If you ain't been, you need to go to Liverpool, then you see it's not an anomaly, it's there. But listen, we gotta share the love. I think Quasi Bold is live at the moment, another Liverpool fan. So guys, I'm going to redirect you guys over there. So go and show him the support. Go over there. I normally do the Nunes raid because I like to be a troll. But we're not going to do that because Quasi knows it. Whatever you guys decide to throw in as a raid, throw it in there. But go and show him some love as well. He's got a few people watching. Can we get him as well? He's close to the 500 mark. I think he's 19 subscribers away from 500. So if you guys can, please head over there. If you're new, just subscribe. Just subscribe because trust me, he is good at what he does and he's a good Liverpool fan as well. So I'll redirect you guys over there and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out, man.